What is up, everybody? Shwazy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down and decoding Dodge's set of teaser videos. Now, if you guys haven't seen, I'm sure you all have if you guys follow Mopar stuff, but Dodge has been releasing a series of about 6 teaser videos for the last month or so as kind of little hints here and there to show off or, foreshadow their last call 7th edition model. Now, for the last year and a half or so, they've been dropping, 6 different last call models for their last model year of the Challenger and Charger. And this 7th version was supposed to be released back in November, but they had, supply shortages where really they actually had engines blowing up. And so they had to delay it. And they're actually going to be unveiling it here March 20th. But for the past month, they've been giving us teaser videos. So in today's video, I'm going to decode those. I'm going to tell you what I think the vehicle is going to be, and then we'll see if I'm right in just a few days. So let's get started. So the first teaser video, this was kind of pretty vague. It was really, I think, just an announcement video. I think that's might have been what it was even called. And they show off this kind of red-eyed leprechaun, goblin looking thing. That's pretty much it. Like a photo shows up, a video shows up of this cartoonish figure, and then it disappears. Then it's the Dodge logo. And there wasn't really much to it there. Some people are saying that that's going to be kind of the silhouette of that is going to be the logo for this vehicle because it looks kind of similar to the 1970s Dodge Demon logo. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case, but that is a theory that's out there. The second teaser video is where it gets a little bit more interesting. So you have this leprechaun that's kind of carrying this IV looking thing, and then all of a sudden he opens up the valve and this yellow fluid goes into his veins. Now, I specifically point out yellow because I think that is going to be the theme for this car. Now, the color yellow is in pretty much every single video. That's why I say that, but this was kind of the first video that showed it off. And, you have this fluid that goes into his veins, and what that is believed to be, in my opinion, is race gas. The Dodge Demon used race gas to get its top performance, and I think this is going to be the exact same. And then he kind of, gets jacked up and, turns into this giant goblin after injecting these steroids. And I say goblin because I think that's the theory of what the name of this car is going to be. So the Dodge Demon was a great name. I think it's a little bit better than the Goblin. If that is going to be the name of the car, we'll see. Time will tell. But Goblin isn't a bad name either. It's better than some of the other names they've used. So perhaps that is the hint towards the name of the vehicle, but we'll find out shortly. And then, the third teaser starts out with more yellow themes. Again, you'll see that as a common theme throughout all the videos. And what it starts with is you have the leprechaun on the left and then the goblin, that's what I'm going to reference them as, on the right. And then this weight scale is that what they're standing on. All of a sudden it turns on and the goblin goes down a little bit. And you see on the weight scale reading, which is also in yellow, it says 7.1 pounds. Also, as a reference, I think the leprechaun with its red eyes is a reference towards the Redeye. So I think that's pretty obvious. And then the goblin with yellow eyes is going to be this new vehicle. But anyways, I come back to the point about the weight. 7.1 pounds more. Now, a lot of people are saying, it's going to be just slightly heavier than the Redeye. I think those numbers are way too close to each other to actually be weight figures. What I think it's going to be is the amount of boost that's going through the supercharger. Now, it is believed that this Goblin is going to have a 2.7 liter supercharger. That's the same supercharger that's on the Demon and the Redeye. And so that one currently on the Redeye produces about 14.5 pounds of boost through that supercharger engine. What I think they're going to do is they're going to up it by about 7.1 pounds. So doing some quick math, it's about 21.6 pounds of boost going through this engine. And that's how they're going to be able to achieve these higher power figures. Now, I think that theory also gives credence to the fact that, just a few months ago, like I said, Dodge was blowing up its engines. Now, there's a lot of reasons why you can blow up an engine, but I think one of the big reasons is if you throw too much boost into something that just can't handle it. And so I think they're trying to put in, over 21 pounds of boost through this engine, and because of that, they had to, re-engineer the internals to be able to take on that much more power. And also over 20 pounds of boost isn't unheard of for vehicles. A lot of vehicles out there have over 20 pounds of boost. So it's not like some astronomical figure where it's not achievable. But I have a feeling it's going to be the amount of boost going through the supercharger. Now, the fourth teaser video had a lot of stuff in it. So I'm actually referencing my notes here because the title of the video was, I think, Scream at 215 miles an hour. So that is, of course, in my opinion, the top speed of this Goblin. So 215, really not bad. Anything over 200 is just already impressive. And then you have this little reader that this guy or this woman is holding, and they bring it up to this Goblin, and they type in some numbers. Now, the numbers they type in are 105, and then in brackets, they have 3.02 times 2.98. Now, I'm going to explain what I think those figures are. So the 105, in my opinion, is the amount of octane or the level of octane fuel that you need to have in this vehicle to produce what the 3.9 times 2.98 product is, which is 8.99. So I believe this car is going to have an 8.99 quarter mile, which is really impressive because the Demon was somewhere in the mid to low nines. So this is going to be a lot quicker. And in order to get that sub 9-second quarter mile, you're going to have to put in 105 octane fuel. Now, all of this makes sense because the Demon was 100 octane fuel to get somewhere in the low 9-second quarter mile. So this one producing more power, more boost is going to be a little bit better than that. But I do want to stop and just kind of think about that number. A sub 9-second quarter mile from a factory vehicle is really just unheard of. It's insane. I'm not sure how much like the Bugatti Chiron or something like that does quarter mile, but I mean, I'm certain for a fact that this car is going to beat every other vehicle in the same price range in terms of quarter mile. I mean, there's just no way you could get a sub 9-second. I mean, maybe the Tesla Model S Plaid or something. But even then, I mean, these are just insane figures from an internal combustion engine. So I just want to, thank Dodge for that. If that's really the case, that's going to be really impressive. But the second part of that video was, this meter that they typed in is brought up close to this Goblin, and the Goblin exhales or inhales. And on this reader, you see the numbers 1582. Now, what I think that means, and what a lot of people are thinking, is that is the CFM. Now, CFM is cubic feet of air per minute, or CFM is cubic feet per minute, but it's really referenced towards air. And I think what this means is that's how much cubic feet of air this engine inhales within a minute. And that makes sense because the CFM of the Dodge Demon was about 1150, so 1,150. This one's 1,582. Not a huge difference. I mean, it is still probably about a 50% difference, but it's not like a dramatically larger number. And so this engine obviously is going to take a lot more oxygen. It's going to need a lot more fuel, higher octane fuel to be able to produce those types of figures to be able to get you a sub 9-second quarter mile. Again, really impressive stuff here. The next thing I want to mention is teaser number 5, and that is where they have this kind of, I don't know, like weird orbs, yellow orbs all throughout this video, and you hear this like jackhammer sound. Now again, yellow is another reference to this vehicle. It's got to have yellow. I'd be surprised if the gauges weren't yellow. But anyways, you have this like jackhammer, and the camera kind of pans over to this jackhammer, just hammering at these yellow orbs, and then it zooms up and you see this V8, engine block. You see the cylinders moving up and down, then all of a sudden it like slows down in slow motion, and I think it almost like changes to like a blue color to just kind of designate that this is what you should focus on. And then it pans over to the top of this jackhammer, and on the top of the jackhammer, it reads 2538 PSI. Now, some people are thinking that's the amount of PSI that's going through the, supercharger. They're thinking it's 25.38. I don't think that's the case, because then they would have either put a decimal point, or that would kind of, make the other argument I had about the 7.1 pounds of boost just invalid. And so I think what that is the PSI of cylinder pressure. So, based just on how they show off the cylinders, like sucking in the air and just kind of, I think that designates that the amount of cylinder pressure in that engine block is going to be 2538 PSI. And I think that makes sense because the Demon, again, I'm referencing the Demon because this is supposed to be more powerful than that, had about 1958 PSI. So again, this is a good amount more than that, but it's not like a, crazy number. And so I think, the 1958 PSI, for those of you that want to convert it, that was about 135 bars versus the 2538 that the jackhammer was showing was about 175 bars of force. And then the last teaser video, which is teaser number 6, they just showed off today. This one was mostly just kind of a conclusion video. You have this Goblin jumping out of a helicopter, and then he's like barreling towards the earth, towards Las Vegas, actually, which is where this event is going to be held. And as he's falling, he looks at his watch and the number kind of adds up to 140. And then, you know, he looks down and kind of speeds further ahead and the watch kind of increases in speed. And then he just kind of disappears into the ethos. What I think that means, and this one kind of stumped me a little bit, but I think that's going to be the speed at which the vehicle crosses the quarter-mile mark. Now, that's a common reference that a lot of drag racing, you know, cars show off. They tell you what speed and at what time they cross the quarter-mile. What confuses me about this, though, is the Dodge Demon did the quarter-mile in 140 miles an hour as well, if I'm not mistaken. And so, to me, with this one having more power, more pounds of boost, forged internals, this one should be able to get a higher top speed when you cross the quarter-mile, but I think it's probably just going to be 140 miles an hour, which is, you know, not to say the fact that just because you don't have a higher top speed doesn't mean you can't get a better quarter mile, because, you know, it really depends on how quickly you can accelerate, how, you know, quickly you can get to like 80 miles an hour and maintain that. And so it could just be that the way the two vehicles produce power is different. And for that reason, they cross the quarter mile at exactly the same speed, but at a quicker time. That could be the case, but I just think it's kind of interesting that it's the same speed that it crossed the quarter mile as the Dodge Demon. But keep in mind, it does do it at a quicker time. So you're looking at, you know, sub 9 seconds versus over 9 seconds of the Demon. But that finishes off all the teaser videos. You know, I do have a friend that thinks this may not be a replacement to the Demon, but it may be a drag pack or a vehicle that you can't legally drive on the streets. And at first I kind of agreed with this idea, because the whole argument with not creating a vehicle more powerful than the Demon is because the Demon was a limited edition vehicle that, you know, people purchased for insane markups oftentimes. And, you know, their values are going to hold over time because they were only made for 1 year. And so that's why the Superstock, the Redeyes, they never had more horsepower. And so, you know, the argument is, why would they create another one just to have more horsepower, just to beat the Demon? And I thought that was true, but now I'm thinking more so that this is actually going to be a production vehicle that, you know, most people can buy, although most people probably can't afford it. I think they're going to have this as a vehicle more powerful than the Demon just because this is the last of the internal combustion engine. And I think they're trying to get it out with one last hurrah, because a drag pack just isn't going to have as much publicity or as much attention as, you know, a production-ready vehicle. I mean, they already have drag pack versions of the Scat Pack that can produce, you know, pretty quick quarter miles, I think close to 9 seconds, but that's because, you know, they have practically nothing on the interior. They have a parachute in the back. You know, those cars are ones that really die-hard enthusiasts are going to buy, but the general public doesn't really care that much about them. Whereas this, I think, is going to be a production vehicle because they want the general public to pay attention. And so, you know, I'll be curious to see what actually happens. And so I am curious to hear everybody's thoughts down in the comments below. What do you think this Goblin, or whatever you think it's going to be called, is going to have? You know, what kind of horsepower figures, what kind of PSI boost, you know, cylinder pressure? What is all that stuff that you guys think is going to be on this vehicle? And let me know down in the comments below. I'm curious to hear everybody's thoughts, because there's millions of people out there with millions of different opinions. And, well, we'll find out shortly here on Monday, March 20th. But thank you guys so much for watching. If this is your first time stopping by, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, everybody, I hope you stay schwazy, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day.